Commander Taho Kim stood before the giant screen, his face lit by the red dots that showed the alien ships. Each dot meant death coming closer to Earth. The war room was deep under Geneva, built to survive even if the world above did not. "They'd broken through the Mars defense line," said Captain My Son, her voice steady despite the news. "All ships in Sector 7 are lost." Taho nodded. He had expected this. The Orcs ships were too many, too strong. Earth had fought for 3 weeks, but it wasn't enough. "How long?" he asked. 2 days, maybe 3 before they reach Earth." The room was quiet. 20 of Earth's top military leaders sat around the table, but no one spoke. They all knew what breaking the Mars line meant. Conventional weapons would not stop the Orcs now. Taho walked to the center of the room. At 53, his hair was more gray than black, his face marked by years of difficult choices. As head of Earth's United Military Command, this would be his hardest choice yet. "Show me the outer colonies," he ordered. The screen changed to show 3 planets: New Eden, Proxima b, and Titan Station. All had fallen to the Orcs in the past month. The images were gruesome. Cities in ruins, millions dead. The aliens took no prisoners. "We've tried to talk," Taho said to the room. "We've tried to fight. Neither has worked." General Wu from the Asian Alliance leaned forward. "Then it's time for Protocol Omega." The word hung in the air. Protocol Omega wasn't just the last resort. It was the option they had sworn to never use except in humanity's darkest hour. "Get me Dr. Park," Taho said, instead of answering. Minutes later, the screen showed a woman in a lab coat. Dr. Jin-A Park looked tired, her eyes red from lack of sleep. Behind her, large metal containers lined the walls of the underground lab. "Commander Kim," she said, "I've been watching the battle. I assume you're calling about Protocol Omega. Are they ready, Doctor?" Jin-A glanced at the containers behind her. Each held a person, a soldier who had volunteered for her program. 200 of Earth's best fighters, changed in ways that broke every international law and ethical boundary. "They're ready," she said quietly. "But Commander, once we wake them, once the final genetic locks are removed, they won't be the same people who volunteered. You understand that, right?" Taho knew. He had read the reports, seen the test results. What Jin-A had created weren't just enhanced soldiers. They were something else, something that tapped into humanity's oldest, most primal instincts. "Can they stop the Orcs?" he asked. "Maybe, probably. But stopping the Orcs might be easier than stopping them afterward." Captain My Son approached Taho with a tablet. "Sir, the President is calling. The Security Council is meeting in 1 hour to vote on Protocol Omega." Taho looked back at Jin-A on the screen. "Prepare your team, Doctor. If the vote goes as I expect, you'll receive the activation codes within 2 hours." Jin-A nodded grimly. "And Commander, I hope you've thought about what happens if we win." The screen went dark. Taho turned to look at the map again, at the red dots moving inexorably toward Earth. 5 billion lives against 200 volunteers who had become something not quite human anymore. "Captain, ready my shuttle for Geneva," he said, "and send the Beast program files to the Security Council." As he walked out, Taho touched the small medal in his pocket, a reminder of the last war, when humans had fought humans. Now they faced extinction, and their only hope lay in becoming the very monsters they feared. The silent invasion was about to meet humanity's darkest response. 5 years earlier, Dr. Jin-A Park sat in a plain office, staring at the man across from her. General Taho Kim, then just a colonel, had come with an offer she wanted to refuse. "Your work on human genetics is exactly what we need," he said, sliding a folder across the desk. "The world is changing, Dr. Park. We've found we're not alone in the universe, and what we found isn't friendly." Jin-A opened the folder. Inside were pictures of strange ships, taken from far away. She had heard rumors, but this was the first proof she had seen. "What does this have to do with my research?" she asked. "We need better soldiers," Taiho said simply. "Your work shows humans have unused genetic potential. We want you to unlock it." Jin A closed the folder. "My work was meant to cure diseases, not make weapons. It will save lives," Taiho countered. "Many lives, if what we fear comes true." 3 months later, Jin A stood in a vast underground lab in New Zealand. Mountains above gave perfect protection from prying eyes and space-based weapons. Her team of 20 scientists worked on computers and lab equipment, while behind glass walls, soldiers trained. These were not ordinary soldiers. Each had volunteered for the program, knowing they might never be the same again. From 50 countries they came, the best fighters Earth had. Navy SEALs, Spetsnaz, Korean Black Ops, British SAS, all willing to become something new to protect their world. Jin A watched as Sergeant Do Young Lee, formerly of Korean Special Forces, lifted weights that would break a normal man's arms. His muscles were not much bigger than before, but their structure had changed at a cellular level. "How are you feeling today, Sergeant?" Jin A asked through the speaker. Do Young set down the weights. 500 pounds, as if they were nothing. "Strong," he said with a small smile. "But the dreams are getting worse." Jin A made a note on her tablet. The dreams were a side effect they couldn't eliminate. As she unlocked ancient genes, buried instincts came with them. The volunteers dreamed of hunting, of blood, of things humans had left behind thousands of years ago. "We'll adjust your medication," she said, but she knew the dreams would never fully stop. Later that night, Jin A sat alone in her office, looking at her private research files. What she told Taiho and the Military Oversight Committee was only part of what she had discovered. Humans had evolved from predators, but not just any predators. The genes she had found and reactivated were from something more dangerous than modern science had realized. Her door opened, and Dr. Han walked in. He was her deputy, the only one who knew the full extent of her work. "The committee wants results faster," he said, dropping into a chair. "They're pushing for combat testing." "It's too soon," Jin A said. "The changes aren't stable yet. They're worried we won't be ready." Dr. Han looked tired. "There's been another signal detected. Whatever is out there, it's getting closer." Jin A pulled up a file on her screen. Genetic sequences highlighted in red. "I've been working on something new. The next phase." Dr. Han leaned forward to look. His eyes widened. "Jin A, this goes beyond the approved protocols. If you activate these genes, they won't be human anymore." She finished for him. "Not completely, but they might be what we need. The committee will never approve this." Jin A closed the file. "Then they won't know until they have to. This is insurance, Han. Our last card if everything else fails." Outside her office window, in the large training room, Du Young and 19 other enhanced soldiers ran combat drills. They moved with impossible speed and precision, but Jin A knew it wasn't enough. Not for what was coming. She had named her secret protocol Omega, the last letter, the final option. She prayed they would never need it. The first message from the Orcs came 3 months ago. It appeared on every screen on Earth at the same time, breaking through all security systems as if they were nothing. The alien that spoke looked reptilian, with gray-green scales and vertical pupils. It called itself Speaker Vex, representative of the Orcs Dominion. "Humans," it had said in perfect English. "Your world has been noticed by the Dominion. You will join us as a servant species or be consumed. You have 1 Earth month to decide." Now, Commander Taiho sat watching the recording for the 100th time in the diplomatic archives beneath Geneva. The meeting room was empty except for him and President Hyun Woo-kang, a tall man with a serious face who carried the weight of Earth's future on his shoulders. "We tried everything," the president said, rubbing his tired eyes. "Our best diplomats, our offers of trade, sharing of knowledge. Nothing worked." "They never wanted peace," Taiho replied. This was always going to end in war. The screen changed to show footage from the first and only face-to-face meeting. It had taken place on a neutral space station. Earth's 3 representatives stood facing 5 Arxer. The meeting lasted only 10 minutes before the Arxer commander ate one of the human diplomats alive. The other 2 were executed later as the Arxer left the station. Their philosophy is simple, Tahoe continued. The strong consume the weak. Not just as a saying, they literally eat other species they conquer. President Kang stood and walked to the window. Outside, soldiers rushed to prepare for the coming battle. In the distance, anti-aircraft guns pointed at the sky. How did our other colonies fall so quickly? The president asked. Their technology is far beyond ours. Energy shields we can't penetrate. Weapons that cut through our best armor like paper. Tahoe joined him at the window. New Eden fell in 6 hours. Proxima B in 4. Titan Station held out the longest. Almost 2 days. And now they're almost here. The president's voice was quiet. The Security Council meets in an hour. They'll want to know all options. Tahoe knew what he meant. Protocol Omega is ready, sir. Dr. Park has confirmed the enhanced soldiers can deploy within 2 hours of activation. And you believe these. What do you call them? These beasts can succeed where our regular military failed. They're our only chance, Tahoe said. What Dr. Park has created goes beyond enhanced humans. She's awakened something in their DNA, something ancient and deadly. At that moment, an aide rushed in. Sir, Arxer ships have begun landing operations. They've touched down outside Shanghai, Mexico City, and Cairo. The president's face hardened. Call the Security Council now. We don't have an hour. Across the world in New Zealand, Du Young Lee sat on his bunk, feeling the changes inside him. All enhanced soldiers had been placed on alert status, which had activated the first phase of their final transformation. His skin felt too tight. His senses were sharper than ever before. He could hear heartbeats from the next room. They're landing, said Sun Mai, another enhanced soldier. Like Du Young, she had been in the program from the start. Her eyes had already begun to change, the pupils narrowing to slits. I can feel it, Du Young said. His voice sounded different, deeper. They're going to activate us fully soon. Are you afraid? Sun Mai asked. Du Young looked at his hands. The nails were thicker, almost claw-like now. Not of the aliens, he answered. Of what we're becoming. On the screen in their room, they watched as the first Arxer ships descended through Earth's atmosphere. The Protocol Omega countdown had begun. The Security Council room was filled with angry voices. 12 world leaders sat around the round table, their faces showing fear and worry. On screens above them, live footage showed Arxer ships landing in major cities around the world. We have no choice, shouted the European Union president. Our regular forces are being slaughtered. But what Protocol Omega might unleash could be worse, argued the African Union representative. We've all read Dr. Park's reports. These enhanced humans may not remain under our control. Commander Tahoe stood silently, waiting. He had made his recommendation. Now it was up to the world's leaders to decide. President Kang raised his hands for quiet. We have confirmed reports that Arxer ground forces are eating captured humans. Shanghai has already lost 20,000 civilians. Mexico City reports similar numbers. The room went silent. The choice is simple, President Kang continued. We use Protocol Omega, or humanity becomes food for the Arxer. All in favor. One by one, hands went up. Some quickly, some slowly, and with great reluctance. When all 12 hands were raised, President Kang turned to Tahoe. Commander Kim, you have authorization to activate Protocol Omega. May God forgive us. Tahoe immediately opened a secure line to the New Zealand facility. Dr. Park, this is Commander Kim. Authorization code, Alpha 7 Delta 9 Epsilon. Protocol Omega is approved. Release the beasts. On the other end of the line, Jin-A closed her eyes for a moment. Then she began typing rapidly on her computer. Acknowledged, Commander. Activation sequence beginning. Deep in the facility, 200 cryo-sleep pods began to open. Each contained an enhanced soldier who had been kept in suspended animation until needed. The final phase of their transformation could not be reversed, so they were only to be awakened for the actual fight. In his quarters, Du Young felt a burning sensation spread through his body. The partial changes he had experienced earlier were nothing compared to this. He fell to his knees as his DNA rewrote itself according to Jin-A's programming. It hurts, gasped Sun Mi nearby, her body also changing rapidly. I didn't know it would hurt this much. Du Young couldn't answer. His mind was filling with instincts and urges he had never felt before. The desire to hunt, to kill, to tear enemies apart with his bare hands. His muscles grew denser, his senses sharper. His teeth lengthened into points, and his fingernails hardened into claws. In the lab, Jin-A watched the bio readings with a mixture of scientific interest and horror. The changes were happening faster than even she had predicted. The beast soldiers were taking their final form, a form that had slept in human DNA for thousands of years. Heart rates stabilizing, reported Dr. Han. Brain patterns are different. More primal activity in the old brain centers. Can they still think? Reason? Jin-A asked. Yes, but with heightened aggression and predatory instincts. They're still human, mostly. In the command center, Tai-Ho received the first images of a fully transformed beast soldier. The man, once a Brazilian Special Forces captain, now looked like something from ancient human nightmares. His eyes had vertical pupils, his muscles rippled beneath his skin, and his fingers ended in short, sharp claws. When he spoke, his voice was a deep growl. "We are ready to hunt," he said simply. Tai-Ho gave the order. "Deploy all beast units. Primary targets are Orcs command centers. Secondary targets are their landing ships. Remember your training. You are still soldiers of Earth." As transport aircraft prepared to carry the beast units to battlefields around the world, Du Young stood and looked at what he had become. In the reflection of a metal wall, a creature he barely recognized looked back. For Earth, he growled to himself, "We become monsters to save humanity." The night sky over Seoul glowed red with fires. Orcs troops moved through the streets, their tall, scaled bodies casting long shadows. They carried weapons that shot beams of blue energy, cutting through concrete and steel with ease. Any humans they caught were either killed on the spot or taken to collection centers, food processing facilities set up in what were once sports stadiums. From the darkness above, 12 shapes dropped silently. Beast Unit 7, led by Du Young, landed on different rooftops around the Orcs command center. They wore minimal armor. Their bodies were now tough enough that they needed little protection, and the armor would only slow them down. Du Young signaled to his team with hand motions. No words were needed. They could smell and sense each other now, communicating almost like a pack of predators. Sun Mi was his second in command, her once kind face now showing sharp teeth when she smiled. "Begin," Du Young said simply into his comm unit. What happened next was unlike any battle in human history. The beast soldiers moved with impossible speed, leaping between buildings, climbing walls with their claws, dropping onto Orcs soldiers from above. Their enhanced bodies were stronger than the aliens, faster and driven by a hunger for the fight that matched the Orcs' own savagery. Du Young tore through an Orcs patrol, his claws ripping through their armor as if it were paper. The aliens fired their weapons, but he moved too quickly, his enhanced reflexes allowing him to dodge energy beams that would have killed a normal human instantly. Across the city, the other beast soldiers did the same. They worked in pairs, coordinating their attacks with an instinct that went beyond their military training. Sun Mi moved like a shadow, appearing behind Orcs officers and silencing them before they could call for help. In the command center beneath Geneva, Tai-Ho watched video feeds from Seoul with a mixture of horror and hope. The beast soldiers were more effective than even he had anticipated, but their fighting style was disturbing to watch. They didn't just kill. They hunted, using tactics that seemed to come from humanity's distant past as apex predators. "My God," whispered President Kang beside him. "What have we created?" "Our survival," Tai-Ho answered simply. In New Zealand, Jin-A monitored the vital signs of all beast soldiers worldwide. The data streamed across her screens: heart rates, hormone levels, brain activity. What she saw worried her deeply. "The aggression levels are still rising," she told Dr. Han. "I don't think they'll stabilize." "Can we bring them back?" Dr. Han asked. "After the Orcs are defeated." Jin-A didn't answer. She had known from the beginning that Protocol Omega was a one-way transformation. The beast soldiers would never be fully human again. In Seoul, Du Young's unit reached the Orcs command center. Unlike human buildings, it was a biological structure, a massive ship that had landed and grown roots into the ground. It pulsed with an eerie light from within. Do Young felt a new sensation, not just the desire to kill, but to hunt the strongest prey. He could smell the Orcs leader inside. His body tensed, ready for the final assault. "Take the sides," he told his team. "I'm going for their commander." Sun Mi grabbed his arm. For a moment, her eyes looked more human. "Remember who you are," she said softly. Do Young nodded, though the human part of him was getting harder to hold on to. The beast was taking over, just as Jin-A had warned it would. The unit attacked from all sides at once. The Orcs, for the first time since arriving on Earth, knew fear. Their sensors had not detected these new creatures until it was too late, and their weapons seemed ineffective against their speed and natural armor. As beast units across the world engaged the enemy, humanity watched with a glimmer of hope. The monsters they had created were terrible to behold, but they were humanity's monsters, fighting with a ferocity that matched and exceeded the Orcs' own. The tide was beginning to turn. 3 days after the beast units were deployed, the world map in the Geneva Command Center looked very different. Blue lights showed where human forces had pushed back the Orcs. There were more blue areas each hour. "Seoul is completely clear," reported Captain Mysun. Beast Unit 7 eliminated all Orcs forces with minimal civilian casualties. Tai-Ho nodded, but his face showed concern. "What about the beast soldiers themselves? Any reports?" Mysun hesitated. Du Young's unit is changing further. The other units report similar issues. They're becoming more aggressive, even toward our own forces. "Dr. Park warned us this might happen," Tai-Ho said. "Their transformation isn't stable." In the New Zealand facility, Jin-A worked without sleep. Her lab was filled with screens showing medical data from all beast units. The numbers were alarming. Brain chemistry shifting, hormones at dangerous levels, aggression markers rising steadily. "I need more time," she told Dr. Han, who looked as tired as she did. "If I can develop a stabilizing compound, we might be able to help them maintain control." "But will they take it?" Dr. Han asked. "Some units are already refusing to follow certain orders. They're acting more on instinct than training now." In Seoul, Du Young stood on the roof of a tall building, looking out over the city his unit had reclaimed. The night air carried 1,000 smells his enhanced senses could now identify. Smoke, blood, the lingering scent of Orcs, and the fear of humans hiding below. His body had changed even more since the battle began. His muscles were denser, his teeth sharper. When he spoke, his voice was barely human. "They're afraid of us," he said to Sun Mi, who crouched nearby. Her eyes now glowed slightly in the dark, reflecting light like an animal's. "They should be," she replied. "We're not human anymore." Do Young looked at his hands, now ending in sharp claws that wouldn't retract. "We did what we had to do." Their comm units crackled. It was Commander Tai-Ho. "Beast Unit 7, we have new orders. Orcs ships are retreating to space, but our satellites show they're regrouping for a major counterattack. All beast units are to return to base for possible space deployment. Do Young felt a growl rise in his throat. The thought of being confined in a small spaceship made the beast part of him angry. Several of his unit looked at each other, their eyes showing the same resistance. "Acknowledged," he said finally, forcing the human part of his mind to remain in control. Unit 7 returning to base. In orbit above Earth, the Orcs fleet was indeed regrouping. Their ships formed a new pattern, and deep inside the main vessel, the Orcs Supreme Commander made a decision. "The humans have created abominations to fight us," it told its officers. "This cannot be allowed. Prepare the planet killers." Back in Geneva, Taiho received the warning from Earth's remaining space stations. "The Orcs are positioning for a massive strike," he told President Kang. "Our analysts believe they're preparing to use weapons that could render large parts of Earth uninhabitable." "Can our remaining defenses stop them?" the president asked. "No," Taiho said simply, "but I have a plan. We've captured several smaller Orcs ships intact. If we can get beast units onto those ships, we might be able to launch a counterstrike in space." President Kang looked shocked. "The beast soldiers in space? Can they even operate in that environment?" Dr. Park believes they can adapt to almost anything now. Their bodies are continuing to evolve. Taiho paused. "But there's a problem. She says they're reaching a point of no return. If they continue changing at this rate, they may lose all human consciousness within days. So this is their last mission either way," President Kang said quietly. Taiho nodded. One final hunt to save humanity. The captured Orcs ships looked strange with humans working inside them. The ships were partly mechanical and partly organic, with walls that seemed to breathe and controls that responded to touch in unusual ways. Do Young stood with 50 other beast soldiers in the launch bay. They had been chosen from all beast units for this final mission. Each one showed advanced changes. None of them looked fully human anymore. Jin-A approached Do Young with a small case. "This is the stabilizer," she said, her voice calm despite her fear of what the beast soldiers had become. "It won't reverse what's happened to you, but it might help you keep your human mind long enough to complete the mission." Do Young took the injector from the case. His clawed hands were careful not to break the delicate device. "And after the mission?" he asked. Jin-A couldn't meet his eyes. "There is no after. The changes to your DNA are too extensive. The stabilizer will wear off in about 6 hours. After that, we become complete monsters," Sun Mai finished for her. She stood nearby with the other chosen beast soldiers. Jin-A nodded sadly. "I'm sorry. When we created Protocol Omega, we knew it was a one-way journey." Do Young pressed the injector to his neck. The others did the same. For a moment, he felt his mind clear, the constant growl of the beast within him quieting slightly. "It doesn't matter," he said. "Earth will survive. That's enough." Commander Taiho entered the launch bay. He looked small next to the transformed beast soldiers, but he stood straight and proud. "The Orcs have launched their planet killers," he told them. 5 weapons, each capable of destroying a continent. Your mission is to board their command ship and disable the control systems. Without the command ship, the weapons cannot be guided to their targets. A suicide mission, one beast soldier growled. "Yes," Taiho said simply, "but you will save billions of lives." Do Young felt something stir inside him, not the beast this time, but something from his human past. Pride, purpose, sacrifice. "We will not fail," he said. The 5 captured Orcs ships launched, each carrying 10 beast soldiers. They accelerated quickly toward the Orcs fleet in high orbit. Do Young's ship was aimed directly at the massive command vessel at the center of the enemy formation. In the Geneva Command Center, President Kang watched with Taiho as the small ships approached the Orcs fleet. "Will they make it?" the president asked. "The Orcs won't expect an attack from their own ships," Taiho said. "And they certainly won't expect what's inside them." In space, the Archer did notice the approaching ships, but too late. Du Young's vessel crashed directly into the side of the command ship, tearing through the hull. Emergency barriers sealed the breach, but the beast soldiers were already inside. Du Young led the charge through the strange corridors. The Archer crew fired their weapons, but the beast soldiers moved with terrible speed, tearing through the aliens with claws and fangs. The beast part of Du Young was fully awake now, even with the stabilizer. He killed without mercy, driven by both his mission and his transformed nature. "This way," Sun Mai called, her senses detecting the heart of the ship. "The control center is down this path." They fought their way deeper into the living ship. 3 beast soldiers fell to Archer weapons, but the others pressed on, unstoppable. The Archer had never faced anything like them, creatures that matched their own savagery, but moved with human intelligence and purpose. Finally, they reached a massive chamber filled with glowing organic technology. The Archer Supreme Commander stood there, twice the size of the other aliens, its scales darker and its eyes showing something new. Fear. "What are you?" It hissed in its own language, which the beast soldiers could somehow understand now. Du Young smiled, showing his fangs. "We are Earth's final protocol. We are what humanity becomes when pushed too far." The Archer leader drew a weapon, but Sun Mai was faster. She leaped across the chamber and tore the weapon away, her claws slicing through the alien's arm. Du Young reached the central control panel. He could see Earth on the large view screen, the planet killers moving slowly toward their targets. According to their briefing, he needed to destroy this entire ship to stop them. "Get to the escape pods," he shouted to his remaining team. Sun Mai looked at him. "You're not coming." "Someone has to overload the core," Du Young said. "I can feel where it is now. Go." As his team retreated, Du Young fought his way toward the ship's power core. He was wounded several times, but his enhanced body kept moving. The stabilizer was wearing off. His thoughts were becoming more primal, his human consciousness fading. 3 months after the explosion of the Archer command ship, Earth was slowly healing. Cities were being rebuilt. Farms were growing food again. The dead were buried, and the living tried to move forward. Commander Taiho stood at the window of the New Zealand facility, looking out at the mountains. Behind him, President Kang sat with Dr. Jin-A Park, reviewing files on a tablet. 67 of the beast soldiers survived, Jin-A said. "None of them can return to normal human form. The changes are permanent, just as we feared." "And their minds?" President Kang asked. Jin-A sighed. "Mixed results. Some, like Sun Mai, have kept much of their human consciousness. Others are more primal. But they all understand what they did for Earth. They know they are heroes." Taiho turned from the window. "Heroes we keep locked away." The 3 fell silent. It was the hard truth they all lived with now. The beast soldiers who had saved humanity could not live among normal humans anymore. They were too different, too dangerous. The New Zealand facility had become their sanctuary and their cage. "The new stabilizer helps," Jin-A said after a moment. "It doesn't reverse the transformation, but it helps them keep their human thoughts. We're making progress." Outside the building, in a large forested area surrounded by invisible barriers, the beast soldiers lived in their own community. They hunted, they trained, they existed in a world built just for them. Some, like Sun Mai, worked with the scientists, helping to understand what they had become. Sun Mai walked through the forest, her changed body moving with perfect grace. She still looked partly human, but no one would mistake her for normal. Her eyes glowed slightly, her teeth were sharp, her fingers ended in claws that would never again hold delicate things without breaking them. She stopped at a simple stone marker. It had been placed there to honor Du Young and all the others who had not returned from space. The marker read simply, "They became monsters so humanity wouldn't have to." "I miss you," she said softly to the stone. In the Geneva headquarters, life was moving on as well. The Earth Defense Force had been created, using technology taken from Orcs ships. Humanity would never again be so vulnerable. Captain My Son, now General My Son, supervised the construction of Earth's first true space warships. The Orcs are still out there, she reminded her team. And where there's one alien empire, there may be others. In orbit, new defense satellites watched the stars. Earth had learned its lesson. The universe was not always friendly, but humanity had also learned something about itself. When pushed to the edge, humans could become as fierce as any predator in the galaxy. Back in New Zealand, President Kang prepared to leave. "The world owes you both a debt we can never repay," he told Tai-Ho and Jin-Ah. "The Beast program saved us all." "At what cost?" Jin-Ah asked quietly. Tai-Ho looked out at the sanctuary where the remaining Beast soldiers lived. They knew the price when they volunteered. Even Du Young understood in the end. "I've been thinking," Jin-Ah said. "The Beast soldiers can't live normal lives, but they could still serve Earth. There are places humans can't go, missions too dangerous for regular people. You want to send them back into space." President Kang looked surprised. "Some of them want to go," Jin-Ah said. "Sun Mai has asked me several times. They were created to protect humanity. That purpose still gives their lives meaning." President Kang nodded slowly. Perhaps that would be better than keeping them caged here, even in a gilded cage. As the sun set over the mountains, Sun Ma looked up at the stars becoming visible in the darkening sky. Somewhere out there, the Orcs were licking their wounds, perhaps planning revenge. And beyond them, who knew what other dangers waited? She felt the beast stir inside her, not fighting her human mind now, but working with it. They had found balance, she and her inner monster. Du Young would have been proud. "We'll be ready," she whispered to the stars. Earth's protectors. Not quite human anymore, but still humanity's children. In the distance, the first new defense ship rose from its launch pad, heading to join the watch in orbit. Earth had survived, changed but unbroken, and its most dangerous children now guarded its future.